Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. All right, this is a single stream onto my YouTube channel. I'm going to keep this one off of Facebook. So I wanted to talk to you about Mackenzie Edwards. So you guys know that on this channel, I have been critical of Mackenzie, and I have had opinions about this girl because of the way that she is portrayed on the show. On the show, I've learned something. Let's just say I've learned something about the way that editing is done on Teen Mom and why and how it plays out in the real world. The cast members on the show are the main focus. So the stories of Cheyenne, Amber, Maci, Mackenzie McKinney, and Caitlin take priority or precedence over anything else on the show. And anyone else that's in these girls' lives are sort of an accent, a accessory, and their points of view and their stories aren't what matters. This is why when we see Gary, he's always talking about Amber, right? We rarely see what's going on in Gary's life outside of what he's dealing with Amber, because the show is about Amber. With Maci, we know nothing about what's going on in Ryan's day-to-day life other than what Maci says. And then when we see Ryan, he talks about Maci. But we don't see Ryan working. We don't see Ryan having a life. They don't focus on Ryan. The show isn't about Ryan. The show is about Maci. And Ryan, for his part, has had, a rocky few years. He's been going, he's been dealing with a lot. And I think sometimes when your storyline is viewed through and told through the eyes of someone else, it's not actually the reality in which you experienced it. So the way that Maci sees Ryan and Mackenzie and their life isn't the way that Ryan and Mackenzie see their lives. And MTV doesn't show us a lot about their lives because the only time we see them is when they're talking about Macy's. Get where I'm going? Conversely, with Andrew opted not to be on the show because why? He knew that his storyline would not be the primary. He would be made the bad guy, much like MTV made Gary the bad guy. Remember when everything happened between Amber and Gary 10 years ago? We were made to believe that Gary was the one that was in the wrong. But after all of this, we know now that it wasn't Gary that was in the wrong. We know now that it was Amber, and it's always been Amber. And they've always been calling Amber and making Amber the one who, she's the perpetual woe is me. All right. So I was pretty stunned today because I was on Instagram and I was playing around, and I noticed that Mackenzie Edwards, who's Ryan's wife, who they just had a little girl, Stella Ray, and they have a 1-year-old Jagger. And I noticed that she had made a video on Instagram. And on the Instagram video, she was asking her fans and followers to paint their nails purple. And she was talking about DV and why we need to bring more awareness to DV and what is going on in the real world right now with increased calls, because for a lot of people, they're stuck at home. And she shared that she was previously in a relationship where she was on the receiving end of that, and her life has become very different. So she painted her nails purple. She painted her daughter's nails purple, and she asked her fans to paint their nails and tag her. I thought the video was sweet because it was the first time any of the cast members even said anything, or addressed rather anything related to DV. Now, the post wasn't about Amber, but it made me actually reach out to Mackenzie. And I wanted to say to her, hey, I really appreciate this video that you made. Let me know if I can do anything to help you. And if you would like to talk, I'm open. And so I didn't think she would respond because you guys, these girls don't respond to me. I've reached out to all of them and they never respond to me because I'm the big bad girl that released the audio that potentially had their show almost canceled, right? So what we did was she started opening up to me and she started talking to me, and I started to see things through an incredibly different lens. And I started to realize, hey, maybe what we're seeing on TV isn't actually the truth. And I think a lot of fans are seeing a side of Maci this season and even in the past few seasons where they just don't like her. She is the same woman this season. Let's just talk about some of the stuff that Maci's done this year. So on this season, she decided that she was going to take a trip at the same time that Bentley's little brother turned 1. Bentley's only biological brother on his dad's side turned 1, and Maci decided to take a trip instead. And the editing made it seem as though they found out about the trip last minute. And so it made it seem like Mackenzie was the irresponsible one that didn't let them know ahead of time. Okay. Then we've seen her do her light it up teal because she wants everyone to know about her PCOS. We've seen her now talk about how she wants to have Ryan come to Bentley's birthday party, despite the fact that she and her husband took out a 2-year order against him. And she said, well, as long as we're okay with it, it's fine. I pointed out in my recap that is not how these orders work. You can't just decide you're okay with it, because if you're okay with it once, you have to be okay with it all the time. So if she really is okay with it, she should just drop it, to be honest. That's how it works. She could get in trouble for violating it herself. So we've also seen her support Amber. And this is where a lot of you have been lost, right? You guys are fed up with the fact that she is supporting Amber. She went to court with Amber. She called Andrew a narcissist. This week, after hearing the audio, instead of, saying what happened, she did say what happened was wrong, but instead of, saying she wasn't going to support Amber, she said, don't do this to me, Taylor. If it ever gets to this, don't do this to me. Insinuating, don't put it online. But here's the thing, you guys. If you are not the main character on Teen Mom, your edit is not going to be favorable. And sometimes the only way the people that are supporting them can have a fair edit is by using social media in their favor. And that's what happened with Andrew, okay? He was able to get his story out through his family, through his own posts, through a lot of different methods to show everyone the reality of what he faced online. And it doesn't matter in his life. It doesn't matter the way MTV is portraying it now. That's not what happened in real life, okay? So I wanted to talk to Mackenzie about what happened, like what has she seen this season, what's going on with her. And so I kind of started from this most recent episode, okay? And a lot of you guys, including me, were wondering, like, is Ryan on something? He seems a little off. Like, why is he so agitated? Why is he stammering? Why is he frustrated? Was he using? And Mackenzie said, getting angry, this is in response to whether or not he was using. She says, getting angry is a natural human response. And I'm not sure how that equates to him being on something. We all feel emotions and we express grief, trauma, sadness in a variety of ways. Ryan is a human and he is going to have a human response just like everyone else. And that doesn't mean that he's relapsed. Ryan is happy, healthy, and staying as sane as possible during the quarantine times, she said. And I asked her, I said the way that it was edited, they are still together. Yes. I said, so if the editing is not in his favor, would you be honest? Would you be honest if he did relapse? Would you be honest? And she said, yes, I understand. She said, and she says that both her and Ryan are actually both participating in recovery. They do stuff independent. So she does stuff to help her through, being a spouse and then being a spouse of an addict. And then he goes to his recovery programs. I asked her, I said, has it been challenging for you to see how everything has been playing out with the show this season regarding the way that he's been portrayed, the way that he's been, the way that their story's been portrayed? And I'm not here to claim that he's sober or he's not sober. I am just sharing her point of view. Okay. So she said she used to get really frustrated with the show. She said, yes, I used to get very frustrated, but at this point I have been with Ryan long enough to know what's up, and it's laughable at this point. And I said, yeah, they never seem to edit in your favor. And she said, I'm seeing this season just how things are playing out way differently than they did in real life. And I'm seeing the other side of things. It's sad. So she claims that the way that we're seeing things and what's being revealed on the show is not what she experienced in real life. It's been pieced together, and it's a lot of drama that she says has been manufactured. And she said it's been manufactured by Maci. So she said, I said to her, that's the apple pot. I said, I've gotten to know Andrew quite well, and the reality of what happens versus how it is presented is so opposite. And she said, yes, it's awful. It's awful. I feel so bad. Because she does not support the way that they're portraying Andrew at all. And we talked about sort of the timelines. And then I asked her I said, I'm guessing it's hard to have your story be sort of a side story to Maci, meaning your lives are depicted in how she presents them. And she said, I have given up on any chance of a relationship at this point with Maci, and I'm okay with that. She said, I have our children to focus on, and I will always try to do the right thing for them, all of them. So this show has created such a wedge in their lives that she and Maci and Ryan are just completely unable to have a relationship, and she's not going to try it. But she said she's not going to let that affect her relationship with her kids or do things for her kids so that they can have a good relationship. So I said, it's obviously that you love Bentley like your own. And she said, I 100% do. And I said, so if you have given up on a relationship, does that mean things aren't great between you all? I know you all keep talking about the PO, but you aren't a part of that. And she said, she can talk whatever SHIT she wants, but I thought we were genuinely on a good path. But what I have seen, that was all a lie, and I feel so stupid. So what she's seen from Maci's side of things versus what she experienced in real life, she thought they were like working towards like resolution here. And she says that Maci put up a front and that what she got from Maci was not what they got on the show. So she said she feels really stupid about that. I said, is that based on how she was talking to Katie this week about when you asked her to make sure there was no tension at Bentley's party? So one of the clips this week was Maci talking about how Mackenzie had asked that if they do attend the party, that they put aside differences and just make sure that there's no tension. And Maci was all just like, well, of course there's tension. I mean, we have this history and it's always going to be there. And we have this order, and she actually said, no, based on every single episode I've seen thus far, and the birthday party in particular. So I said she made it seem like he could be there as long as it was okay, as long as she was okay with it. But I don't believe that's how these orders work. I said in my recap, I stated that if she's okay with it one time, she would have to be okay with it all times and drop it. Mackenzie said, that's not how these orders work at all. So she said, there are people that are seriously in danger that need these orders and they get denied. And she said, this is not the first time that Maci has wanted them to put aside the order to get together. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, this is not the first occasion of her not following her own order. I document everything. So she wants to have this order, I guess, but apparently isn't following it, according to Mackenzie. Obviously, I won't get Maci's side because Maci doesn't talk to me. But, I said, oh, wow. And then she said, I'm just hoping that everything at this point can get better. So then we started talking about Jagger's birthday, because another storyline this season was that Mackenzie actually invites Maci to a birthday party, right? And Maci's like, well, we already had this party scheduled and everything was already put together. And they made it seem like you sort of haphazardly invited them after the fact or only a day or two before. And she said, she asked me, this is what she said, Maci asked me to change the party date 2 months before his birthday so Bentley could be there. And I did just that. I changed the invitations and everything. And I said, so she goes, so this wasn't a spur of the moment deal. And I said, well, they made it seem like you waited the last minute. And she said, yes, they did. And I said, so you changed the party date and she still didn't come? And she said, yes. And I said, sometimes I feel like this not changing plans or not being able to go to things is for the drama for the show. Because if you remember, last year when Ryan wanted to go golfing with him, it was like suddenly like, oh no, we already have this baseball thing planned and we can't stop that. We're not going to stop our lives for you, Ryan. She finds a lot of reasons for Ryan not to see Bentley. And I said, sometimes I feel like this is all all of this is just for the show. And I said, somehow the producers or even the cast are creating their own storylines of their own. And she said, now we're talking. And she said, and it makes me so sad. So she claims that a lot of this is manipulated either by the producers or by Maci to create more drama for the show. So Maci asks her to change the date according to Mackenzie. Mackenzie agrees to the date because Maci tells her we're going to be going on vacation. And so when she changes the date, she says that Maci agrees that this date will work for them. And she said, I said, so was she then out of town during the party? And she said, yes. So even after she changed the invitations and after she changed it and put a date in that Maci wanted, she says they are actually going out of, Maci's still out of town. And I said, well, did she change her trip date? And she said, I don't know. And I said, well, when she asked you to change the date, was it because of the trip? And she said, she asked for this specific date and I did it. I didn't find out he wouldn't be there until 2 days before. And we had a party with just us so Bentley could be there. So 2 parties. I'll do anything for our kids. So not only does she say that it wasn't her that was short notice, it was Maci. And she says that because of Maci telling her last minute, oh, we're just kidding. Remember that date I told you about? Yeah, I'm going to have a party for myself. And she said that they did this due to the trip. And I said, did she have an invitation before the 2 days before? And she said, I sent the revised invitation 3 weeks before the party. So I said, does she extend the same courtesy to you and your family when the roles are reversed? So if it were on the reversed end, if they asked her to change a party date or if they asked her to be flexible with plans, she said no. And I said, I told her, I thanked her. And she said that she realizes that everyone hates her. And she doesn't really care because that's the way that the show has edited her. She just, and she said, I asked her, given all of this, knowing that there's manipulation of the storylines, knowing that they're manufacturing drama, knowing that it's painting her and Ryan in a bad way, will they leave the show? And she says she leaves that up to Ryan because ultimately it's Ryan's choice. It's Ryan's son. She's the wife. I mean, I'm sure she could say I'm done with this, but she said she's going to leave that up to Ryan. Now, interestingly here, I noted, and I went to the ratings today, Teen Mom only pulled in 713,000 viewers this past week, which means they're down another 40,000 from the previous week. They started at 950,000 viewers for the season premiere, and they've lost over 200,000. And this trend just keeps on going. So And then we go on to, we talked about Amber. So again, if you remember, the reason I reached out to her was related to Amber, or the DV post that she made, okay? And so I was telling her about how over the past months, I've gotten to know Andrew, and I've seen how it's all edited, and he's going to be the villain, and Amber's going to be the storyline of redemption, because that's what they're going to do. And, you know, I explained to her that I was the one that released the audio, and I've told her that the girls refused to talk to me. And she says that she doesn't understand why they are supporting Amber. So here's what she said. I told her that I don't understand why Maci is supporting Amber so blindly because on the flip side, when it comes to Ryan, she claims Ryan and Amber have a lot of the same issues. They have battled the same, you know, addictions. They've dealt with a lot of the same problems, except Ryan doesn't apparently have the violent arrests. Okay. And so she says that she is not friends with the cast members because she sees through their BS. And she said that Ryan and her are just straight shooters, and they're not stupid. So they're not going to play the games that the rest of the cast are playing when it comes to supporting Amber. She said this. She said, Ryan has never once been any aggressive towards me. He doesn't verbally hurt. He doesn't say anything verbally to me that's bad. There's never been a physical altercation. She says that's where Amber and Ryan are different. And she says, in relation to what Taylor alleges that Ryan said, she said, Ryan was standing up for me and it got taken advantage of. And she said, was Ryan wrong? Yes. Was Taylor wrong for saying what he said that no one knows about? Yes. So she's alluding to the fact that Taylor said some stuff about her that was inappropriate, which caused a reaction out of Ryan. In regards to why are they supporting the cast, she said, but does she have support? Does she have to support Amber for the appearance of friends? Where is the line of saying, girl, you are wrong and I cannot support you, because I wouldn't support any of my friends in that circumstance. So she says that the reason why they're supporting her is likely tied to the fact that their paycheck is involved, that they're going to take the side of the production because it's in their best interests. That's Mackenzie's belief. She also says, when she shared her post today, this is what she said. In regards to the DV, I was not speaking about Amber in particular, but raising awareness in general for people who have gone through or going through this. I do not in any way, shape, or form condone DV, and I'm sad about what happened to Andrew, but I'm happy to hear that it's resolved. She said, I think everyone should open up their eyes to DV. It's out there and it's happening now. It may be happening to someone you know without you even knowing. And when I talked about all of that, I completely forgot about what was going on with Andrew. I'm not really familiar with what's going on, but I have seen where the girls are all supporting her, and I am mind blown. So she does not support Amber whatsoever. She says she will not put a paycheck or anything in front of her morals, her ethics, and any of that. So when I've spoken to Andrew about the same thing, he also feels like MTV is playing a role in their support. He believes that they are all doing this because they feel like they have to support her or the show will get canceled. Because if Amber goes, let's be honest, there's not a lot of storylines right now. The rest of the cast doesn't have what's going on with Amber. And even the cast that's on there, their storylines are starting to revolve around Amber. Caitlin's whole storyline this week was about Amber. Last week, it was about Amber. Cheyenne was talking about Amber this week. Maci was talking about Amber this week. So everyone is talking about Amber. So if they've been on the show for such a long time, I said to her, I said, I feel like people are starting to lose their support of these girls. They're starting to get irritated with these girls because they become so entitled and narcissistic. And she just agreed with me. So I know a lot of you have loved Maci. I used to until this season. I have completely lost respect for Maci. I have lost respect for really any of these cast members that are refusing to do the right thing and are more concerned about their paycheck. Because the sad thing is, to me, is that no one, not a single person, has done any sort of advocacy against DV on their social media over the past several weeks. None of them have made statements about it. MTV has not once, not one time on these shows ever done a PSA for the people that are hurt by DV. Nothing. It's all about mental health. So the girls aren't speaking out about it. MTV's not talking about it. So everyone wants you to forget that she did this, and we need to blame it on her mental health and forget about the reality of what happened. And it's just kind of gross. And so I was actually impressed with Mackenzie coming out. I said, you're literally the only person making this statement. So kudos to you. So this is where I'm at. Now, I understand some of you are going to hate her regardless because you think Ryan's a POS, and nobody's perfect. I've learned on reality TV, not anyone does everything correctly. There's a lot of stuff out there. So this Shady says, this whole time I've been dragging the wrong one. My bad. Brittany says, it's to the point now I feel bad for Ryan and Mackenzie. Yep. Stacy says, no one wants to watch teen moms that still don't have it together over a decade later. I agree. And then Brittany says, I'm sure Bentley is going to not be happy with Maci as he realizes what she's doing. And that's been my question too, is like, how are these kids really going to feel? They didn't have a choice to be on TV. They didn't have a choice to be filmed. Their lives have been for our entertainment. What has Maci been doing to interfere in this relationship? Patty says, it wouldn't surprise me if everyone is manipulating the storyline to stir up controversy for ratings. Some of the cast members are so blinded with money that they've been getting over the years. And I think that the longer you're on these reality shows, Patty, that you lose your ethics. You forget that like your real life happens and there's a show too. Like they're so busy trying to create and manufacture drama that they forget about the real life consequences for those choices. And I've seen it so much with these reality stars, how it messes with their minds. They get these egos, they get this idea, they think that they're untouchable, they think that we won't see it, they think we won't figure it out. But then what happens is the layers start getting peeled off and you start seeing the reality of what's been happening and you realize that you've been lied to. And at some point, that's when people start tuning out. Brittany also said, it just breaks my heart. I was wondering the other day when Mackenzie was live, anytime Ryan came in, she paused the video. I mean, I know he wants privacy, but he films. That's why I wasn't sure. I didn't really ask her about that. Tracy said, Maci has always had that attitude that she was so much better. Her clothing line was expensive Target shirt with a shiny pocket. They could have rallied together against Amber, but they still would have gotten paid. Exactly. Mindless Bumblebee. We're going to end with that. You guys, your cast members, you could have rallied behind Andrew. You could have supported the person who was hurt and who is now on an island by himself, getting torn up in the media, getting dragged by people, and being called a mastermind that claimed to take everything from Amber. Much like Mackenzie has been the villain in the world of Maci. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I am so glad that I had you here. I want to thank Mackenzie for sharing with me. I will say that I have a newfound appreciation for her. And I do think that we have to remember that what we see on TV isn't always true. And if Maci wanted to talk to me, I would be open to hearing her point of view. But I know she won't. So these are her points of view. We must remember that. Maci has her side of the story. This is Mackenzie's side of the story. And it's up to you to decide what you believe. All right, you guys, leave me some comments below. Before we go, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do by hitting the subscribe button down here. And if you would love to support this channel, please consider becoming a member. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Bye.